What's up guys, Abel Albonetti here. I'm 23 years old and just want to start this time off by saying thank you to bodybuilding.com for this opportunity and for everyone that voted for me in the month of November. I couldn't have done it without you, so thank you. A little bit about myself and my transformation. You'd have to go back until I was like 13 years old. One day my dad came in my room and was like, hey, you're old enough to start working out. So, I was like, okay, I really didn't know what that entailed or anything. But he had a weight bench that was up in the attic, so we went up there and got it. It was more of a Bowflex machine. It would turn into pretty much anything. It would go to bench press, to shoulder press. You could even curl with it. I played around with that until I was around 15 years old. Around 15, I went to the store and actually bought me a real weight bench and some dumbbells. And at this point also, my friends would come over and was like, we'd always have a bench competition to see who was the strongest. So it was more of, who could get the strongest and stuff. It really wasn't size, at all. I worked out maybe 3 times a week at this point. I really didn't get serious about it until I turned 17 years old. At this, in this point of my life, I was driving, had a part-time job, and right across the street from where I worked, there was a YMCA. So anyways, January of 2007, I joined the YMCA, and ever since then, it was more of a routine. I'd go in there, I'd go to school, get done with school, and then I'd go work, and then I'd go straight to work out. And that was my routine for about 3 years, really. So I would, go work out all the time. It was something I really enjoyed doing. So instead of going off and partying like, most of all the other high schoolers and stuff, I would go work out. And it was always something that I really enjoyed doing. It was never something that I ever saw as a chore. I see people all the time like, oh my gosh, you gotta go to the gym and stuff. That was never, that was never me. It still isn't me. I just love doing it. But anyways, around 20 years old is when I was looking at BodySpace and bodybuilding.com and looking at magazines and looking at people and saying, hey, I'm fit, but they're at the next level. How can I get there? And it was really, BodySpace and bodybuilding.com and different magazines I was looking at. I was like, okay, they're the ones that took me to that next step as far as nutrition and everything. Because, at this point, 17 to 20 years old, all I was doing was working out. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I, never dieted or anything. It was all whatever I could eat. It was always fast food and all that stuff. But, I wasn't getting the results that, I wanted. I was like looking at people and I was like, that is my goal. I want to look like them, So how can I get to their level, And BodySpace was a great way of looking on there and saying, okay, if this person can do it, he goes from this, you can look at this amount of time to this, it's just like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. And so, anything that I, could find, I was reading. It was all about, knowledge. And, I read everything about nutrition and working out. And really when I was 20 years old, like I said, that's when I really hit with nutrition and everything. And ever since then, I've taken, nutrition classes and stuff and learned all I can about it. I mean, nutrition is a huge part of, the whole scheme of things, looking good and everything. It's not just working out. That's what I found out the hard way for 3 years. I wasn't getting the results, and all of a sudden I changed my, nutrition plan and everything, and, everything changed, And really my diet is a low-carb diet. A lot of people don't like that, say they can't gain muscle on a low-carb diet. I have. You can go back on my BodySpace and see my measurements and everything, how much weight. I like to stay at a low % body fat, and that's what I've done over the past years. You can go back and look at even February of this year to now, I've gained muscle and I've always stayed at a very low % body fat because I'm always competing and stuff. And a tip, a lot of people ask me for tips, for someone my age or younger. And my tip is, anyone that asks is, it's consistency. It's going back day after day. It's not something that you're going to get over, just in a short amount of time. People look at people like me and other people and think, okay, if I go to the gym and work out hard for, a year or less, and if they don't get those results, they're like, what in the world? So, it's all about, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So that's my tip. Thank you guys, and like I said, thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully I'll see you in LA. Thanks a lot.